the fight against corruption so far? Would you say we're on the right path?
Thank you very much. I think to start with, the fight against corruption must actually go beyond sloganeering, which I think is one of the fundamentals that we have seen happening in the last 5-6 years. I think the administration basically is committed to fighting corruption, but unfortunately they have not established certain baseline to really understand where we are at the moment, and of course use that as a platform and opportunity to be able to build some level of anti-corruption infrastructure that will help them to engage very constructively.
Are you saying we're still at the level of sloganeering?
We are still at the level of sloganeering with some level of actions to demonstrate that we are moving. Look, doing so much does not necessarily mean that you are getting so much done. It does not, movement does not suggest progress.
But
and that is what we are beginning to see.
Should mean something, shouldn't
Absolutely, convictions should mean something, but I believe that beyond this administration, for instance, what are exactly at the institutionalization of the anti-corruption structures that we are having in place. Because beyond the fact that you are creating a system where it is just about a slogan that is actually tied to an individual, if you go beyond that, how have we been able to understand the anti-corruption ecosystem within the country, put some level of baseline, be able to develop some level of structures that will respond to all of these things, even 30, 50 years from now? I think those are the issues we have not been able to constructively do. And beyond that,
yes,
corruption in itself goes beyond kleptocrats that we have in the system. Okay, you must also begin to look at the issue of flagrant disregard to the rule of law as a corruption in itself. Look at the issue of nepotism as the issue of corruption in itself. So it is just about not somebody taking money. Okay, you also need to look beyond that to be able to establish whether or not you are making progress.
Okay, that will be an interesting addition to it, because I think that even Professor Wale Soyinka made reference to that yesterday when he, when you talk about the rule of law and nepotism and things of the sort. So, but for the purposes of this conversation, I think we would like to focus more on the aspects of fraud and what people traditionally consider to be corruption, which would be bribes and what have you. We could always revisit that, but I want to focus on that because you're talking about the ecosystem of corruption. Now, some people will say that some of the things that government has put in place will be things like the Treasury single account, which should address systematically some of the lapses that we have seen in the past. Would you agree with them?
Yeah, to a very large extent. If you are looking at corruption, you also need to interrogate both the revenue and the expenditure side of it. And to a large extent, it has also, to a large extent, created some level of bottlenecks and bureaucracy in terms of financial administration. For me, I think the process was also not thought through properly to be able to ease business. Because one of the challenges also that you need to bring on board is the ability of the government issuing periodic and regular order of ease of doing business policy and order. But of course, you also need to
have been doing better on that, right?
Exactly. We seem to be doing better. But of course, if you also don't look at it to be able to disintegrate and disaggregate some aspects that will also challenge some of the progress you are making, there will be a whole lot of issues to be confronted with. And I believe, for instance, if you have for the report that was launched yesterday, how have we been able to reorientate civil servants who are particularly going to manage this system in terms of keying into it and ensuring that this particular FTP endures for a long while is also something that we really need to begin to look at. So I have a very strong challenge, particularly with ad hoc policies to respond to the challenges that we have, rather than contextualizing them, looking at the fundamentals and responding to them structurally. Because what we have now in this country in terms of corruption is actually a grand situation, because even the last 5 years we have seen even milestone of corrupt practices.
We still have a grand situation of corruption.
We still have an issue of grand situation of corruption, and that is an issue that should actually concern us.